So the Super Bowl's coming up this Sunday, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of either of these teams. However, I do respect them for the position that they're in and how far they got here and who they had to go through to get to the Super Bowl. So without further ado, let's just get into the picks and see who wins the Super Bowl, maybe, hopefully. So I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers. But the question is why? The answer is Cam Newton. Superman brought this team, which was 7-8-1 last year, to a Super Bowl this year. That is crazy. Now you could say Luke Kuechly helped. Luke Kuechly definitely helped. That defense is also a big part of why they're here. I mean, Josh Norman stepped up. Anybody who said that Josh Norman is going to be good this year is a liar. No one said that earlier this year. No one said that last year, unless you're a Carolina Panthers fan, because I certainly didn't know that Josh Norman was this good. He's a guy that basically came out of the woodwork and did something amazing. Even though he got 4 interceptions for his team, he still recorded 56 tackles, 2 touchdowns, and 3 forced fumbles. That's insane for a cornerback. That's almost superhuman. So, I mean, while I do believe that defense is really good with, Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly and Star Lutulele and Josh Norman and, their safeties are good, Trey Boston, Roman Harper, you still have to admit that Cam Newton really is the one that brought them here. Let's just be honest. He did. Now that we got my pick out of the way, let's see how my pick can be prevented. That's the thing that could happen. The Broncos could actually win the Super Bowl. It's anybody's game at this point. Even though I side more with the Panthers, I still believe the Broncos can still pull it off. That pass rush is crazy. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Derek Wolfe all coming off and attacking that quarterback is a scary sight for any quarterback, really. I personally think that Cam Newton is going to do fine. He's a mobile quarterback. He doesn't stay in the pocket like a Tom Brady or similar to an Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, who aren't really that mobile but can be mobile at times. Not so much Tom Brady, but he has run a few times. But I mean more of like a Russell Wilson or a Colin Kaepernick type quarterback where they normally run out on the bootleg and try to throw it downfield as much as they can, but will use their legs if they have to. Now, Cam Newton's size is much larger than a Colin Kaepernick or a Russell Wilson. He's a much larger type guy than both of these guys, really. He's almost like a baby beast mode in a sense. That sounds odd, but it's very true. Now, I know it sounds like I'm talking up the Panthers a whole lot. Well, I kind of am, to be honest. They are a good team. They've had a really good season, and the Broncos haven't had a great season, especially in the offensive side. But defensively, these guys have done really well, especially in their secondary with guys like Aqib Talib, TJ Ward, Bradley Roby. And you know what they say, defense wins championships. That could be very true for this team, especially since the Panthers, they don't really have any big targets. I mean, the loss of Kelvin Benjamin early on this season, I thought it was, hey, this is going to be really bad. The Panthers wide receiver core is going to be awful, but can't prove me wrong. He introduced me guys like Philly Brown, Ted Ginn Jr., who can actually catch the ball sometimes, and the rookie Devin Funchess has really been a great addition to that wide receiver core. He really has. Now, when I say the Broncos haven't had a great season offensively, I mostly mean Peyton Manning. And now, I respect Peyton as a quarterback. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. However, this is one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season, Peyton Manning has ever had in his career. We're talking 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That is terrible. Now, he did break a record amidst all this terribleness that was going on in his career on the field. But hey, what happened. There's nothing you can really change or do about it. It's what it is. The good part is he's finally not having a noodle arm like he did earlier in the season. It seems as if he's getting that arm strength back that he had at the end of last season and even the beginning of last season. He's starting to look very similar to the old Peyton Manning, but not completely the old Peyton Manning. Another contributor to this terrible offensive stretch that the Broncos had earlier on in the season could be Demaryius Thomas. I mean, he's dropped a lot of passes. I think it's somewhere around the 12-13-ish mark. That's a lot of passes dropped by a Pro Bowl wide receiver. And, I mean, he's a really good wide receiver. I'm not doubting the fact that he is. I've seen his stuff. He's a really good wide receiver. But 12 passes, 13 passes dropped is too much for a wide receiver of his caliber and someone who's that good. But hey, there are some upsides to this offense. C.J. Anderson is one of those guys. 720 yards. He averages 4.7 yards, which is pretty good. 5 touchdowns. And he won an overtime game against the Patriots at home. for the Broncos. That is really good for a running back, especially with the Broncos' offensive struggles that they've had. So here's just a quick review. So I think that the Carolina Panthers have offense really down-packed, even with that wide receiver core not looking so hot. And I think that the Denver Broncos have their defense down-packed, even though, I mean, their linebacking core is good, but there could be some improvements to it. There could be maybe, I wouldn't say better players because those players are pretty good, but maybe they're not getting recognized as enough, but superstar talent. That's something they don't really have on the linebacking core. And hey, if there's a linebacker that I missed, if there's anyone I really missed on either side of the ball, on either team, let me know in the comments. Tell me, hey, you missed this guy, go check him out, go check his highlights, go check his stats or whatever. He's underrated, he's not known about, whatever. Just let me know. Just real quickly, I just want to touch on the topic of tight ends. Personally, I think Greg Olsen is the better tight end in this situation, but I do feel that Owen Daniels is a good tight end, mainly because he was the main target for Peyton Manning and caught those 2 touchdown passes in the conference championship game. That's really all I think about Owen Daniels, but Greg Olsen, I think, is the better tight end. He is a lot more versatile, he can block, he can receive. He is Cam Newton's favorite receiver in that receiving core right now. He is just a really good tight end all around. And I think, again, tight end advantage goes to Carolina. Just one more set of players I just want to talk about before I give my final score. Obviously, I think the Panthers are going to win, but I'll give you my final score in a second. And that's kickers. Kickers are a really peculiar player because they could either win you the game or lose you the game. We saw it with Adam Vinatieri in the Patriots' first Super Bowl, and we also saw it with Scott Norwood in the Bills' first Super Bowl. They can lose you or win you the game in big scenarios. So, for the kicker, I believe that Brandon McManus has an edge over Graham Gano. He is a lot more accurate, and he can hit it from a longer range than Graham Gano can. And if it comes down to a 50-yarder or 50-plus yard field goal kick, I'd rather have Brandon McManus on my team than Graham Gano. That's just my personal opinion. So I feel that the Broncos have an advantage in the kicking category, I guess you would call it. They win this one. Now for the score prediction of the video. Now I said earlier in the video that Carolina Panthers were going to win. That is true. I still think Carolina Panthers are going to win. But the question is by how much? I've heard a lot of stuff being thrown around lately like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a blowout. This is Super Bowl 48's repeat, except with a different team for the Broncos. I personally don't think that. I think that it's the same scenario where there's a powerhouse NFC team going against a Broncos team that is somewhat offense heavy, but this time it's more defense heavy. To me, the roles have been flipped in this scenario. Right now, the Broncos have the better defense. In a sense, I'd say they have a better pass rush, and the Panthers have the better offense. So, I think the Panthers are going to win it. However, it's going to be a closer game. I think the Panthers win it 24-21. I think a field goal does decide the game. However, it's going to be short enough so that Graham Gano can actually kick it in. I'm going to say probably around 43 yards. 43-yard field goal to win the game. 24-21. Carolina Panthers Super Bowl 50 champions. Alright boys, thanks for watching my predictions video. If you like it, leave it a like. If you like football, subscribe to my channel. I got more football content coming in the future. See you later.